all the way out to Armenia and talk with Nicole. Him is a theist and wants to has some questions about secular religion, it sounds like. So, hey, Nicole, you're chatting with SR and Seth.
Hi, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Great. Yeah, we talked before with Seth Andrews, and it was, I think, half a year ago, and it was also about atheism, and back then, some of the ideas about, I believe, secular humanism were seemed to me kind of reasonable. Yeah, but then later I thought that all these ideas, we can find them in most of constitutions and laws around the world, but in reality it's always different. And I started thinking if there's any other option, or it's only about following a certain religion, a god, or humans, let's say.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Seth?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Forgive me, that's two in a row that I'm kind of blanking out on.
Yeah, could you, Nicole, would you mind just rephrasing it for us? Just kind of shouting it to us one more time?
Okay, I mean, for example, the idea was that people have to kind of help each other and be in the spirit of brotherhood. But in reality, what we see is that people are mostly selfish, right? And it's justifiable, I think. If you don't follow any religion or any god, right, then probably you would try to make sure that you live better in this world than others, than to pretend that you can help others, waiting that they will help you. Do you understand this?
I think I disagree with your premise. First of all, if we understand evolved ethical systems, we understand where our evolved morality comes from. And we have this conversation a lot with apologists or other people who say that it sort of must be structured for you or handed down to you by a society. And I think, we reverse that stream. I think we create the laws, the models for how ethical behavior is done. But if you look at the more secular nations on planet Earth, they're the most peaceful ones. It is the ones that are the most religious, the ones that have these moral codes, quote unquote moral codes, that have the highest murder rate, the highest rate of domestic violence, overall crime. They're most warlike. The cost, actually, most of the factors that produce a better living, from healthcare to lifespan to the cost of living, et cetera, we find that these are largely better in less religious societies. And beyond that, I resist the idea that people should be told, or should have to be told, what harms someone else and what does not. Nor do I agree that most people are selfish and cruel. I think the selfish and cruel are certainly there. There's a massive number. I think they do a tremendous amount of damage. They certainly get noticed. But for every cruel person, for every sociopath, for every abuser, for every criminal, for every person who breaks our ethical codes and does antisocial things, destructive things, I think there are 10, 20 other people who will never get the press for saying the kind word, for holding open the door, for giving somebody a gift, for lifting up their arms in times of grief, for helping a stranger in a time of need, for giving to charity. That stuff isn't sexy. It doesn't make the headlines, but I'm convinced that most people remain good. So in that way as well, I must disagree with your premise.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I just wanted to ask, do you think in the future the world is going to become a better place, or it's never guaranteed and it can always get worse, or next generations can look at us and think it was ridiculous what we believed, and these kind of beliefs, they change over time, right? Basically how we look back at 19th century or so, and let's say in 2000, maybe 100 or 200 people will also look back. I mean, these ideas that people create, they're never stable. They always change. And like, how can we tell if they're going to change for better or worse?
I don't want to monopolize, Elliot, forgive me, but let me finish this thought and I'm going to shut
Please.
my pie hole and let you
No.
do the host thing. I guarantee you we're not going to wake up tomorrow and discover that the earth is not a sphere, right? We've seen the age of enlightenment. We've seen the scientific revolution. We've seen a huge leap forward in our knowledge. I don't see the changing of our scientific positions as a bug. I see it as a feature, right? Science is not dogma. We don't say, well, this is it, and it never changes. Even when we close our mind on something like the fact of evolution, it's not totally welded shut because we must be open to anything that might come along that might change our thinking on this. We have to be prepared and honest enough to be able to experiment any claim that comes along and find out, is it true or is it not? But we have advanced so much in the last 100 or so years. I very much disagree with this idea that it's all, I get the vibe that it's kind of this all equivalent. Well, people believed stuff, but they changed. We believe things, it will change. My hope is it will change for the better. Are you asking if we as a society and a species will be more peaceful overall in the future? You're asking me to comment on the mindset of 8 billion people living on this planet. What I have seen, I do believe that we are largely becoming more civilized, but we are also facing the weaponization of the uncivilized against them. They are well organized, they are well funded, they are monumentally cruel and monstrous and bigoted and hateful, and they are doing a tremendous amount of damage. So my hope is that the good people can continue to grow and evolve before the others set the whole planet on fire and destroy us all. I hope that's not hyperbole, but forgive me. Go ahead, Elliot, if you wanted to jump in, and I'll
No, I
sit back
agree
and sip my
wholeheartedly.
tea.
I'm glad you said all that because you said it better than I could. And on top of all of that, Nicole, I think the problem when you're trying to make this argument that like religious understandings of the world have the exclusive claim to, the real morality, right? They're the only ones that can actually have a foundation because they're universal and stuff. So there's a couple of problems that always come to mind, and one is just the demonstrable fact that that's not true. That's just flat not true, right? Like, how many people do you think you could find in the next 5 or 10 minutes in your city in Armenia that are believers of some stripe who just disagree with each other on what the actual moral underpinnings of this system they all supposedly believe in, right? We all believe in the exact same, non-corporeal existence that really cares about us and really wants us to know what their message is, but apparently none of us seem to agree. So like that's a big problem, I think, to begin with. But the other big problem, I think, is that in your system, what you have is essentially this awesome superpower that you could just pull out at any time and save the day. And for whatever reason, it just never gets utilized. Like, if God really is the arbiter of all things good and moral and truthful and whatnot, the fact that God allows all of this bad stuff really is a big deal. It really does need to be tackled with more than just a hand wave. Well, God has, higher ways. God's so super duper mysterious and whatnot, right? Because it's like at any point in time, you have the ability to fix any problem whatsoever in the system. And for some reason, you just don't. Consistently, you don't fix it. And then there are these other times where the superpower does come in, but then fixes something that's like incredibly unimportant, it seems. So it when you utilize this concept and you say, oh, the only reason we know what good is and the only reason good exists is because of this divine essence, it just really does seem to present all of these problems that a secular understanding of morality doesn't have, right? We don't have as much baggage and we don't have as many assumptions. And in this fun little philosophical game that we're all playing, that seems to be how you win. So I know we shouted a bunch at you, Nicole, but we'll give you a couple of minutes to say some thoughts back to us. What do you think on all of that?
Well, what I think is basically, I thought a lot about it, that if I never believed in God, like in the God of Christianity, I would probably be, like I think, right? I would be more selfish and I would want to like get everything to myself. But the problem is not why, but is it bad in your worldview? Like,
no, that's not
okay,
that's not the question. No, hang on. I got to stop you right there, Nicole, because I hear this all the time and it's so deeply frustrating. I hear this all the time from apologists. They say, if you don't believe in God, why not go kill a bunch of babies right now? But nobody seems to ask the question, why do it? Stop asking this, what's preventing me from doing these things that I currently think are terrible? Ask yourself the question, what actually compels me to do this? And when you flip it like that, you'll find yourself completely lacking any justification. The only justification you'll come back to is, well, there's nothing stopping me. True, but there's nothing stopping you from doing a myriad of terrible things right now. And the only thing that really at the end of the day is stopping you from doing it is you just already think it's terrible. So if you truly stopped believing in a deity today, right here, right now, Nicole, why would you be more selfish? Why would you stop engaging with other people in a kind and generous manner? I'm seriously, what reason could you give us to do those actions?
Well, by selfish, I mean, like, I wouldn't want to waste more time for other people because I would know that I have little time for myself. That's what I wanted to say. Not because,
but if you help other people from truly a selfish motive, if you help other people, they are more likely to help you in return whenever you need help, which is going to happen in everybody's life. So from a purely selfish motive, it actually makes more sense to waste the time, as you said, to help people. So again, what is your justification? What is that strong reasoning that gives you the motivation to do these things that you currently think are bad and problematic for all these reasons? Those reasons don't go away. Like currently, you probably think, hey, it's bad to kill somebody because it hurts them. And we shouldn't live in a world where we just all think it's okay to take each other's lives. Yeah. What the heck about that changes just because there's not some magic dude in the sky watching us all the time?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I feel. Like, I am a believer, but if I wasn't, I would probably be like all on my own, for my own. I would do things that only concern me, right? But what I'm doing now is basically I'm trying to be a decent person, but I generally start doubting even this idea, right? Like, that is written in my book. And I think, well, if we still have some time on this planet, why not do it like everything for ourselves, right? Because who is going to judge us for this? You understand? Like, if this is secularism, then this is something that people made, right? Then there is no judgment for us because the universe doesn't care about our morals.
I worry a little bit, and I know we're going on, and I want to be fair to all of our other callers and viewers, but my first thought is, I think you should give yourself more credit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet you're a good person. I'll bet you do good things for other people. And although you may have framed it in a religious model for whatever reason, maybe that's how you were shown to frame it, or maybe that's the model that was most available to you. But the truth is that if you do something kind or good or beneficent for someone else, I think I think that is you. You weren't being forced. I don't think you're doing it because you're afraid of being judged or you're afraid of hell. I think it feels good to make other people feel good. This is part of our life, our evolved ethical system as higher primates. If we look at lower primates, if we look in other chimpanzees or bonobos or apes or whatever, you will find altruistic behavior. You'll find them actually risking their own lives to go and rescue another drowning ape or chimpanzee, even though it benefits them not. They have a connection, a familial and a species connection. They have an empathy and they are willing to take risk to be able to save and rescue another person. Those chimpanzees don't know anything about the Bible, God, heaven, hell, Jesus, Yahweh, the virgin birth, nativity stuff, the Noah's Ark. They don't care, right? They don't care. They don't know anything about it. They just do it. And it's because what helps others then feeds back upon themselves and the species, allowing the species to better survive and thrive. And this is a larger philosophical conversation about whether true altruism exists. I don't know. I don't care. If I do something for someone else, and maybe in the back of my mind, it's because I think it may ping back on me and mine and everybody wins, great. It's still a good reason to do it. No gods or monsters required. Give yourself some more credit. You are the one doing the heavy lifting of goodness in your life. Okay?
Yeah. I think that's a phenomenal
Okay,
place for
thanks a
us to
lot.
leave it, Nicole. And we appreciate you giving us a call, and we hope you'll call back in the future and talk with us, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right. Have a great
Yeah, it's
day,
funny how
Nicole.
much you and I hear this kind of thing. Like, where do your morals come from is such a
All the
cliche,
time.
but I still freaking hear it. Like, what
Yeah.
keeps you from going out and just destroying everything you see? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
who wants to live in that world? Even
Yeah.
me, right? Why would I go out and commit antisocial behavior when I know that pro-social behavior helps everybody and includes
Mm.
me when I talk about help? I just dumb like when someone says, "Why you're an atheist? Why would you ever celebrate Christmas?" I just think, well, this is
Mm.
easy. Like, have you heard that one, Elliot? Like, why
Oh
would
my
an
gosh.
atheist ever
All the time,
celebrate
man.
it? You hear what's your
Uh-huh.
response when that
Uh-huh.
comes up? What do you say?
Normally normally I just say like, "I like food." It's like, I don't see why I need any justification beyond, "Have you ever had a deep fried turkey?" Like, it's amazing, like a spiral ham and, sweet potato casserole with marshmallows on it. Like, I'm sorry if taste buds doesn't work for you, man. Like, I don't
Why would
know.
you ever celebrate a holiday when Christ is in the name? And I'm
Mm,
like,
mm.
okay, well, do you believe in Janus? Because January is named after Janus. I guess you don't
Oh,
call it January. How about March, which is named after? How about all of our days of the week, which are named
yeah,
after other
yeah.
gods? We think about so much of what we do has connection to mythical gods of our
Mhm,
past. But does it mean that we're tethered to those gods? Absolutely. I think Christmas celebrated, don't celebrate it, have this tradition, do that tradition, make it what you want. And I call it Christmas because
mm.
that's the name of the holiday. It doesn't mean I believe in the little sweet 8-pound baby Jesus or whatever. Because I don't have to. And the best part is when I have a conversation with all the people who are saying, well, Jesus is the reason for the season, I look at how they've colored their holiday and it's all freaking
Mm.
pagan stuff. Nice
Uh-huh.
tree,
Mhm.
nice wreath. Oh, pretty Yule logs, mistletoe. Oh, say hi to the druids for me, right?
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that they do for Christmas that they love the most has nothing to do with Christ. It's just awesome.
Right.
Digression. Sorry.
No,
That's
even the word holiday, right? The etymology is holy day, a day we had set aside because it was holy. It had a connection to the divine. But nobody thinks there literally is a cow holiday where it's just a whole day out of the year where people are just supposed to celebrate cows. I love cows, so that's just on my mind. But like, there's nothing divine about that, despite what, many believing Hindus may say. It's just a cow. I mean, they're nice and you can pet them and they're sweet, but yeah, it's just a day where we go, "Hey man, cows are cool, right?" And somebody's like, "Yeah." It's just weird how the religious, especially some more extreme versions of Christianity in the US really love to try to claim every little bit as their exclusive domain, you know? And it's just like,
Yeah.
no, we all get to participate in this because we're people, you know? And if we want
I
to
think
get
we're
together and have fun, that's okay.
back to marking territory,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that there's an entire culture of millions of people who simply don't want to share this world as equals.
Mm,
Like it can't
mm,
belong to all of us because it belongs to me. And I think
right.
that's pathetic. And if the best version of Jesus Christ showed up, the brown skinned Middle Eastern immigrant who said, sell your possessions and be charitable and do good and all the best version of
Blasphemy.
Christ. And that's a whole other conversation. He would look at today's, especially our modern day 21st century American Christians and go, who are you people?
Mm,
What is
mm.
wrong with you people?